Commander Gu Park's eyes were fixed on the giant holographic map floating in the center of Earth's last remaining command center. The blue dots representing human ships looked pathetically small against the sea of red that showed the Terrak. Fleet! She rubbed her tired eyes, not having slept properly in 3 days. How many ships do they have now? She asked, her voice steady despite everything. Over 2,000, Commander, answered Lieutenant Han from his station. They just keep coming. Jiu nodded grimly. The Terraks had appeared 6 months ago, their massive ships darkening skies worldwide. Humanity had reached for the stars, finally achieving faster-than-light travel, only to discover they were late to the game. Very late. The Galactic Council sends their regrets, Jiu muttered to herself, recalling the cold message they'd received. The aliens who supposedly governed this section of the galaxy had reviewed human history and deemed them evolutionary dead ends, too violent, too unpredictable, and too dangerous to join their ranks. Instead, they'd given the Terraks permission to process Earth for resources, as if humans were nothing but insects to be cleared away. The command center buzzed with activity around her, men and women working desperately to coordinate Earth's remaining defenses. 3 billion dead already, most major cities gone, but they kept fighting. Status on the moon base? Jiu asked. Still operational, Commander. They've managed to stay hidden so far. That was something, at least. Their last-ditch effort. If Earth fell completely, the moon base might survive long enough to... To what? Send out a distress call that no one would answer. Launch a final, futile attack. Jiu turned as the doors slid open. A young soldier entered, saluting sharply. Commander, Dr. Kim requests your presence in the lab immediately. He says it's urgent. Jiu nodded. Lieutenant Han, you have command. The underground corridors were packed with refugees and soldiers. The command center had been built beneath the mountains years ago, designed to withstand nuclear attacks. No one had imagined it would become one of humanity's last strongholds against alien invaders. Dr. Do-Hyun Kim's lab was chaotic, screens flashing with data, equipment humming, and the doctor himself looking like he hadn't slept in a week. His usually neat hair stuck out wildly, and his lab coat was stained with coffee. Commander, good, he said, waving her over excitedly. Look at this. On his screen was what appeared to be a brain scan, with certain areas highlighted in bright colors. What am I looking at, Doctor? Jiu asked, trying to make sense of the images. This, Dr. Kim said, pointing to a particularly bright section, is why we might just have a chance. He pulled up another image alongside it. This is a Terrak brain. We captured it from the crash site last week. The alien brain structure looked utterly different, more orderly somehow, with clear symmetrical patterns. The Terraks, Dr. Kim explained, speaking rapidly, are telepathic. We knew this, but what we didn't know is that they're all connected to a hive mind. They don't think individually like we do. They function as parts of a whole. Jiu frowned. That explains their coordination. Exactly. But here's the thing, Kim continued, pulling up more data. Their brains are extremely ordered, logical, mathematical. They can process complex equations instantly, which is why their targeting systems are so precise and their battle strategies so effective. And this helps us how? Jiu asked, hope and skepticism battling within her. Dr. Kim grinned, the first real smile she'd seen in months. Because human brains are chaotic, creative, emotional. He tapped his own temple. We make intuitive leaps. We feel fear, courage, love, hate, and these emotions affect our decisions in ways the Terraks can't predict. He pulled up battle footage from their few small victories. Look here and here. When our pilots act on instinct, when they make choices, based on gut feelings rather than tactical manuals, the Terraks can't counter effectively. Jiu stared at the footage, understanding dawning. They can't predict what we'll do because we don't know ourselves until we do it. Exactly. Dr. Kim nodded vigorously. What the Council saw as our weakness, our unpredictability, our emotions, might actually be our strength against the Terraks. So what are you suggesting? Jiu asked, her tactical mind already racing with possibilities. Stop trying to outthink them, Dr. Kim said. We can't. Their computational abilities far exceed ours. Instead, we need to fight like humans, unpredictably, emotionally, intuitively. We need to be what they're not. Jiu looked back at the brain scans, a tiny spark of hope kindling in her chest. For the first time since the invasion began, they had found something the aliens couldn't easily counter. "Get me a direct line to all remaining fleet commanders," she ordered, "and prep the simulator. We need to test this theory immediately." As Dr. Kim rushed to comply, Jiu allowed herself a small, grim smile. The odds were still overwhelmingly against them, but humans had always been good at beating the odds, and now they might just have found a way to fight back that the Terrax would never see coming. Maybe, just maybe, humanity wasn't finished yet. Supreme Commander Nolt stood perfectly. Still before the massive viewing screen, 6 long fingers pressed against the control panel. Around him, Terrac officers moved with silent efficiency, their grey skin reflecting the blue light of countless displays. Not a single word was exchanged. They communicated telepathically through the hive mind that connected all Terracs. But something was wrong. Very wrong. "Replay battle sequence," Nolt ordered, his actual voice sounding strange in the silent command center. The Terrax rarely spoke aloud. The screen flickered, showing a recent skirmish in Earth's upper atmosphere. A formation of 15 Terrac fighters against just 7 human ships. According to every calculation, every simulation, every mathematical certainty, all humans should have been destroyed within 3.6 minutes. Instead, the battle had lasted 12 minutes, and 3 Terrac ships had been destroyed before the humans finally retreated. Nolt's inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "Explain this," he demanded of his tactical officer. Inconclusive, Supreme Commander, came the response directly in his mind. The humans should have maintained Delta formation according to their own tactical manuals. Instead, they scattered in a pattern with no discernible logic. Nolt watched again as a human pilot suddenly reversed direction, flying directly toward a Terrac ship in what should have been suicide. But somehow the human had managed to release missiles at the perfect moment before executing an impossible turn that their fragile bodies shouldn't have survived. The Terrac ship exploded. 17 worlds, Nolt said aloud, 17 species, all conquered using perfect algorithmic warfare. None lasted more than 2 lunar cycles. Yet these humans had held out for nearly half a year. It was embarrassing. Dr. Do-Yun Kim hadn't left his lab in 3 days. Empty coffee cups littered his desk, and his eyes burned from staring at screens for too long. But he couldn't stop, not when they were finally making progress. "Look at this," he said to Commander Jiu Park, who had come to check on his latest findings. "The simulation results are clear." On his screen, computer models showed Terrac ships against human ones. The first simulation showed humans fighting according to standard military doctrine and being slaughtered. The second showed humans using random, emotion-driven tactics and surviving much longer. "When our pilots follow the rulebook, the Xeen Terracs predict every move," Kim explained, rubbing his tired eyes. "But when they trust their gut feelings, they survive," Jiu finished. "Because the Terracs can't calculate emotion." Kim nodded excitedly. "Look at this brain activity from Lieutenant Su during the asteroid belt skirmish." He pulled up a scan showing bright flares of activity. He was terrified, desperate, and he pulled off a maneuver that saved 3 other ships. "So fear makes us better fighters?" Jiu asked skeptically. "Not just fear, all emotions. Love, anger, hope. They create neural pathways that the Terracs can't map." When Lieutenant Su thought about his family on Earth, his brain activity changed. In ways that altered his decision-making, Jiu stared at the data, thinking hard. "So what you're saying is, we need to encourage our people to feel more?" "Exactly," Kim jumped up, pacing excitedly. "We've been training soldiers to suppress emotion, to think logically. But that's playing into Terrac hands. They're better at logic than we'll ever be. But they don't understand why a pilot would risk everything to save a friend. They don't get why someone might make a seemingly irrational choice based on a hunch." 2 days later, Jiu stood before the remaining squadron leaders in the underground hangar, 60 pilots looking up at her with exhausted but determined faces. These were Earth's finest, what remained of them. "Everything you know about combat flying." "Forget it," she said firmly. Murmurs of confusion spread through the group. From now on we fight like humans, not machines, Jiyu continued. No more formation flying unless you feel it's right. No more textbook maneuvers. I want you to trust. Your instincts, your gut feelings. A pilot raised her hand. Commander, with all due respect, that sounds like suicide. Actually, it's our best chance for survival, Jiyu said, gesturing to Dr. Kim, who stood nearby. The doctor has discovered that the Terax fight using perfect mathematical calculations. They predict what we'll do based on what makes logical sense. And when we don't make sense? Another pilot asked. Jiyu smiled grimly. Then they can't predict us, and they can't hit what they can't predict. 1 week later, Nolt stared in disbelief at the battle reports. 3 skirmishes, 3 human victories, minor ones, yes, but victories nonetheless. Impossible, he whispered, actually speaking aloud again. The Terax second in command approached cautiously. Supreme Commander, we have analyzed the recent battles. The humans appear to have abandoned all tactical doctrine. Each ship acts independently without apparent coordination. Yet they don't crash into each other, Nolt observed. How? Unknown. Perhaps some communication method we cannot detect. Nolt's inner eyelids flickered rapidly. Show me the largest battle again. The screen lit up with the conflict over what humans called the Pacific Ocean. Terax ships moved in perfect formation, executing textbook maneuvers. The humans, by contrast, seemed to fly chaotically. A pilot would suddenly dive when retreat made more sense. Another would circle back to help a damaged ship when logic dictated abandoning it. They're protecting each other, Nolt realized, sacrificing tactical advantage to save individual ships. Inefficient, his second replied mentally. And yet, Nolt said, pointing to the casualty numbers, effective. For the first time in his long military career, Nolt felt something unfamiliar stirring in his mind. The closest human word might be doubt. Back on Earth, Jiyu and Dr. Kim watched as pilots returned from their latest mission. Cheers erupted as the squadron landed, all ships accounted for, and 3 Terax vessels destroyed. It's working, Kim said, his voice filled with wonder. They're actually winning. Jiyu nodded, allowing herself a small smile. The Terax don't understand what drives us. They see our emotions as weakness, but they're our strength. A young pilot ran up to them, face flushed with excitement. Commander, we've figured out a new tactic. When we fly thinking about our families, about what we're fighting for, we're faster, more precise. Jiyu put a hand on the pilot's shoulder. Keep doing exactly that. Feel everything. Fight with your heart as much as your head. For the first time since the invasion began, hope spread through the base like wildfire. Humanity had found its edge. The war was far from over, but they had a chance now, a real chance, and the Terax had no idea what was coming for them. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with tension. 12 beings, representatives of the oldest and most powerful species in this arm of the galaxy, sat around a circular table that glowed with soft blue light. No 2 council members looked alike. Some were vaguely humanoid, others resembled nothing Earth biology had ever produced. Council leader Marath, a tall being with iridescent skin that shifted colors with her moods, currently pulsed a deep orange as she studied the holographic display floating above the table's center. This data cannot be correct, she said. Her voice translated through the chamber's systems. The humans were supposed to fall within 30 days. The display showed battle statistics from Earth, specifically the increasing losses of Terax ships against a drastically outnumbered human fleet. The data is verified, replied Councillor Zev, a being composed of what appeared to be living crystal. The Terax have lost 27 ships in the last week alone. Impossible, huffed Councillor Dren, whose gas-filled body was contained in an ornate mechanical suit. These humans were classified as primitive. Their technology is centuries behind the Terax. Marath's skin shifted to a thoughtful purple. Yet, they fight on. More than that, they appear to be winning small victories. A fluke, Dren insisted. The Terax have conquered 17 worlds without significant losses. These humans are nothing special. Marath gestured, and the display changed to show images of humans, fighting, building, repairing, working together despite terrible losses. Perhaps, she said slowly, we underestimated them. The council chamber fell silent. To admit an error in judgment was rare for the council, whose decisions were usually based on thousands of years of collective wisdom. "We must investigate," declared Councillor Treen, whose multiple eyes blinked independently. "I propose sending an observer." "Agreed," Morath nodded. "Pela will go. She has experience with war-prone species." As the council voted unanimously to approve the motion, none of them voiced their deeper concern. If humans could resist the Terax, what else might they be capable of? Observer Pela stepped out of her cloaked ship onto Earth soil, her slender form hidden beneath a hooded robe. Her species resembled humans enough that, with minor adjustments, hiding her silvery eyes behind dark glasses, concealing the slight blue tint to her skin, she could pass unnoticed among them. The council had given her one task: determine how these primitives were holding off the galaxy's most efficient military force. The human settlement before her was makeshift, a collection of tents and hastily constructed buildings hidden in a forest. Refugees and soldiers moved about with purpose, carrying supplies, tending to wounded, repairing equipment. Despite everything they'd lost, they continued working, surviving. Pela moved through the camp, her translator allowing her to understand conversations. These humans spoke constantly to each other, so inefficient compared to the telepathic communication of more advanced species. Yet there was something in their chatter, jokes in the face of death, words of encouragement, shared stories of small victories against the Terax. They maintain morale through vocal reassurance, Pela noted mentally for her report. Interesting, but hardly explanation enough for their continued survival. Commander Gu Park studied the map in the mobile command center, plotting the next series of hit-and-run attacks against Terax supply lines. "We hit here, here, and here," she said, pointing to 3 locations. "Small teams, quick strikes, then disappear before they can respond." Her officers nodded. They'd grown used to this new way of fighting, guerrilla warfare rather than direct confrontation. "What about civilian evacuation?" asked Captain Sunwoo, pointing to a settlement near one of the targets. "Already underway," Jiu replied. "They'll be clear before we attack." Pela watched this exchange from the shadows, having infiltrated the command center with ease. The human security was laughably primitive by galactic standards, yet something about their planning troubled her. Their tactics showed creativity, adaptability, qualities the Council had not accounted for in their assessment. In his underground laboratory, Dr. Kim barely noticed the hours passing as he and his team worked on the captured Terac technology. The alien device, part of a damaged fighter ship's navigation system, sat on his workbench, its inner workings exposed. "Look at this," he said to his assistant. "Their system processes information differently than ours. It's all connected to their hive mind." Kim had dark circles under his eyes, but they sparkled with excitement. "If we can understand how they communicate with each other, maybe we can disrupt it, or better yet, listen in." "Is that even possible?" his assistant asked. "Their tech is so advanced." "Advanced, yes," Kim agreed, carefully extracting a crystalline component, "but not incomprehensible. Remember, they're bound by the same laws of physics we are." He connected the alien crystal to a human computer, watching as lines of incomprehensible code flowed across the screen. "We don't need to understand everything," he explained. "We just need to find the pattern." Pela sent her 3rd report to the Council from her hidden ship. Earth's moon glowed through the viewport as she composed her thoughts. "The humans display remarkable resourcefulness," she recorded. "They adapt quickly, using their limited technology in unexpected ways. Their military now operates in small, independent units rather than large formations, making them difficult for the Terax to target effectively." She hesitated, then added, "Most concerning is their emotional response to the invasion. Rather than surrendering in the face of overwhelming odds, the threat has united them. Their neural patterns suggest their emotions, particularly fear and anger, enhance rather than impede their fighting abilities." She sent the report, knowing it would cause considerable debate among the Council members. In the Grand Chamber, that debate had already reached a critical point. "The humans must be eliminated completely," Councillor Dren insisted, his containment suit glowing red with agitation. If they can resist the Terrax now, what happens when they eventually develop more advanced technology? They are too unpredictable, too volatile. Extinction is a serious measure, Councillor Treen countered. Paler's reports suggest humans possess qualities that might be useful. Useful? Marath questioned, her skin now a deep blue of contemplation. The Terrax have grown too powerful, too expansionist, Treen explained. For centuries we've used them as a check against emerging threats. But who checks the Terrax themselves? The council members shifted uncomfortably. It was an unspoken truth that the Terrax conquests had been convenient for maintaining the council's power structure, eliminating potential rivals before they could challenge the established order. You suggest we allow humans to survive as a counterbalance to the Terrax? Marath asked. Precisely. Treen's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. Let them weaken each other. If the humans somehow prevail, they will have exhausted their resources. If the Terrax win, they too will be weakened. Marath considered this. A dangerous game. If the humans truly understand what we've done, allowed their planet to be invaded as part of our power politics, they must never know, Dren interjected, but I maintain they should be eliminated now before they become a greater threat. The council remained divided, but for now they would watch and wait. Observer Peller would continue her mission, gathering more information about these surprising humans who refused to lose a war they were supposed to have no chance of winning. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity fought on, unaware that their struggle had become a subject of intense interest to the very council that had abandoned them to their fate. Supreme Commander Nolt stood before the viewing window of his massive command ship, hands clasped behind his back as he watched Earth rotate slowly beneath him. 8 months of warfare, and still these primitive humans fought on. It was beyond embarrassing. It was threatening his very position within the Terrac hierarchy. The bioweapon is ready, Supreme Commander, his second-in-command informed him telepathically. Nolt's inner eyelids flickered with momentary hesitation. The weapon violated at least 3 Galactic Council protocols. But the Council was far away, and his superiors demanded results. Deploy it, he ordered coldly. Target their largest remaining population centers first. Within hours, the attack began. Green pods rained down from Terrac ships, bursting open upon impact to release microscopics. Organisms engineered specifically to attack Earth's ecosystem. Plants withered in minutes. Animals collapsed, gasping for breath in air that was rapidly becoming toxic. And humans. Humans died by the thousands, then hundreds of thousands, then millions. Commander Jiu Park coughed violently, blood speckling her hand. The air filtration systems in their underground base were failing against the Terrac bioweapon. Around her, soldiers and civilians alike struggled to breathe. Report, she managed to say to her communications officer. It's global, Commander, the young woman replied, her voice raspy. They've hit every continent, estimated casualties already. In the millions, growing by the hour. Jiu closed her eyes briefly. After all their small victories, their moments of hope, the Terrax had changed the game entirely. This wasn't war anymore. It was extermination. Her comm unit buzzed. Commander, Dr. Kim requests your presence immediately in Lab 3. Despite the pain in her lungs, Jiu moved quickly through the corridors. People lined the hallways, medical staff working desperately to help those worst affected by the bioweapon. That had seeped even into their underground sanctuary. She found Dr. Kim wearing an improvised breathing mask, working frantically at his station. Beside him sat a strange device, part alien tech, part human components cobbled together. Tell me you have something, Jiu said, fighting back another coughing fit. Kim looked up, his eyes red-rimmed but bright with excitement. I've done it, he said, his voice muffled by the mask. This device can disrupt their telepathic network. How? The Terrac ships all connect to a central consciousness, like a hive mind, Kim explained, pointing to diagrams on his screen. It's how they coordinate so perfectly, but that connection is also a weakness. He gestured to the device. This generates a frequency that interferes with their telepathic communication. In theory, it could throw their entire fleet into chaos. Does theory? Jiu asked. Kim nodded grimly. We can't test it from here. It needs to be planted in their command ship, at the heart of their network. Ji-Yu stared at the device. A suicide mission. Yes, Kim admitted, but without it, he didn't need to finish. They both knew humanity had days, maybe hours left. Observer. Pela moved through the human base, invisible to them thanks to her advanced cloaking technology. What she witnessed shook her to her core. These humans were dying, painfully, horribly, yet they continued to fight, to help each other, to search for solutions. The Terrak bioweapon violated everything the Galactic Council supposedly stood for. Yet the Council remained silent, watching this atrocity unfold from a safe distance. For the first time in her long career as an observer, Pela felt her carefully maintained neutrality crumbling. She had come to respect these humans, their resilience, their creativity, their fierce determination to survive against impossible odds. Making her decision, she deactivated her cloak directly in front of Commander Ji-Yu Park as she exited. The lab Ji-Yu reacted instantly, drawing her weapon. "I am not your enemy," Pela said quickly, raising her hands. "I am Observer Pela of the Galactic Council." The Council? Ji-Yu's grip tightened on her weapon. "The same council that abandoned us to die." "Yes," Pela acknowledged. "I was sent to study your resistance against the Terraks. What I've seen—" She paused. "The Terraks have gone too far. The bioweapon they've deployed violates our most sacred laws." "And you've come to what? Apologize?" Ji-Yu spat, another cough racking her body. "I've come to help," Pela replied. "I know the Terrak command ship's layout. I know where you would need to place your device for maximum effect. And I know how to get you aboard undetected." 3 hours later, Ji-Yu stood before a small team of volunteers, the best remaining pilots and soldiers Earth had to offer, all of them sick from the bioweapon, all of them knowing this mission would likely be their last. "The plan is simple," she explained, showing the schematics Pela had provided. "We use a captured Terrak shuttle to approach their command ship. Observer Pela's clearance codes should get us into their docking bay. From there, we fight our way to the central communication hub and plant Dr. Kim's device." "And then?" asked Lieutenant Tay, a veteran pilot who had shot down more Terrak ships than anyone else. "Then we try to get out," Ji-Yu said simply. "But the mission succeeds, even if we don't." She looked at each member of the team. "I won't lie to you. The odds of returning are minimal." "Doesn't matter," Tay replied, others nodding in agreement. "Nothing left to lose anyway." Ji-Yu felt a fierce pride, even as she fought back another bloody cough. These were Earth's finest, not because they were perfect, but because they refused to give up even when death was certain. Dr. Kim made last-minute adjustments to the device. "Once activated, you'll have exactly 10 minutes to get clear," he told Ji-Yu. "After that, the disruption will spread throughout their network, affecting any Terrak connected to it." "What exactly will it do to them?" Ji-Yu asked. Kim's eyes were solemn behind his mask. "Best case? Temporarily disable their telepathic abilities, throwing their fleet into confusion. Worst case?" He hesitated. "Their minds are so interconnected that a disruption of this magnitude could cause permanent damage, possibly fatal." Ji-Yu nodded slowly. After what the Terraks had done to Earth, she couldn't bring herself to feel remorse for what might happen to them. Observer Pela stood by, the captured Terrak shuttle, providing final information to the strike team. "Nolt will be here," she said, pointing to the command center on the holographic display. "He rarely leaves this position. The communication hub is 2 levels below." "Guards?" Ji-Yu asked. "Minimal inside the ship," Pela explained. "The Terraks rely on their external defenses. They never anticipated an enemy could board their command vessel." As the team prepared to board, Pela stopped Ji-Yu with a gentle touch on her arm. "What you're attempting, it's unprecedented," the observer said. "No species has ever successfully fought back once the Terraks deployed their full arsenal." Ji-Yu's eyes were hard, determined. "Then we'll be the first." As the stolen shuttle approached the massive Terrak command ship, Ji-Yu felt a strange calm settle over her. Earth's atmosphere was turning toxic below them. Billions were already dead. This mission was humanity's last hope, not just for victory, but for survival itself. Terek Command approaching, Lieutenant Tay announced from the pilot's seat. Transmitting Observer Payler's clearance codes now. Jiyu checked her weapon one last time and secured Dr. Kim's device in its protective case. Behind her, the strike team, 12 men and women, the last best hope of humanity, did the same. Codes accepted, Tay reported with surprise. They're guiding us into Docking Bay 4. Remember, Jiyu told her team, we move fast, we stay together, and no matter what happens, the device must reach the communication hub. As the shuttle docked with a gentle thud, Jiyu took one last look at her team. For Earth, she said simply. For Earth, they echoed, following her toward the airlock and into the heart of the enemy ship. The corridors of the Terek command ship were eerily silent as Jiyu led her team deeper into enemy territory. The alien vessel's interior glowed with soft blue light, its walls curved and seamless. Unlike human ships with their obvious wiring and mechanical components, everything here looked organic, grown rather than built. Too quiet, Lieutenant Tay whispered, weapon ready. They had encountered minimal resistance, just as Observer Payler had predicted. The Teraks, so confident in their superiority, never expected enemies to reach their command ship. 2 more levels down, Jiyu said, checking the holographic map Payler had provided. The alien device felt heavy in her pack, a constant reminder of their mission's importance. A sudden hiss made the team freeze. Around the corner, 3 Terak guards appeared, their grey skin and elongated heads instantly recognizable. Before the aliens could react, Jiyu's team opened fire. The silent corridor erupted with the sound of human weapons. Move, Jiyu ordered. As the last guard fell, they'll know we're here now. The team raced through winding passages, following Payler's map. More Teraks appeared, but they seemed disorganized, confused by the unexpected intruders. The humans cut through them with grim efficiency. Communications hub ahead, Jiyu announced, pointing to massive doors at the end of a wide corridor. This is it. The doors were sealed, but Sergeant Wynne, their demolitions expert, quickly placed charges along the seam. Fire in the hole, he called, and the team took cover. The explosion echoed through the ship. When the smoke cleared, the doors hung twisted on their hinges. Beyond lay the heart of the Terak fleet's telepathic network, a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with energy. 30 seconds to place the device, Jiyu ordered as they rushed in. Everyone else, defensive positions. As her team secured the room, Jiyu carefully removed Dr. Kim's device from her pack. It looked primitive next to the Terak technology, a jerry-rigged combination of human electronics and salvaged alien components. But Kim had assured her it would work. She placed it at the center of the chamber, where crystalline spires converged above a pulsing blue core. Following Kim's instructions, she activated the sequence. Device armed, she announced, watching lights flicker across its surface. 10 minutes until full activation. Let's move. As they turned to leave, alarms finally began blaring throughout. The ship, the Teraks, had realized something was wrong. New plan, Jiyu said grimly. We hold this room as long as possible. Every minute we keep the Teraks away from the device is another minute closer to success. Her team nodded, taking up defensive positions around the chamber's entrance. No one spoke the obvious truth. They would likely die here. On the bridge of the command ship, Supreme Commander Nolt felt something he had never experienced before. Panic. Alarms blared as reports flooded in through the telepathic network. Humans aboard. In the communications hub, a device of unknown purpose. Security teams to the hub immediately, he ordered. Destroy whatever they've planted. But something was wrong. The ship's systems were responding slowly. The telepathic network felt clouded. Supreme Commander, his second, reported, inner eyelids flickering rapidly. The device appears to be generating interference. Our connection to the fleet is weakening. Nolt stared at the tactical display, watching as communication lines between ships began to fail. Without the telepathic network, the perfect coordination that made the Terak fleet invincible would collapse. Kill the humans, he commanded. Destroy that device at all costs. In orbit around Earth, the remaining human forces watched in amazement. As the Terak fleet began to move erratically, ships that had previously operated in perfect formation now drifted aimlessly or collided with each other. "They did it," breathed Admiral Hyun from the bridge of Earth's last carrier. "The strike. Team actually did it." Seeing their opportunity, Hyun gave the order that might have seemed suicidal just hours earlier. "All ships attack. Target their flagships first." Human vessels surged forward, weapons blazing as they struck at the suddenly vulnerable Terrak. "Fleet!" In the communications hub, Jiyu and her team were pinned down by increasing Terrak forces. 3 of her people were already dead, others wounded. But the device continued its work, lights pulsing faster as the countdown neared completion. 2 minutes left, she called, firing at a Terrak soldier who had ventured too close to the doorway. Sudden quiet fell over the Terrak forces. They retreated from the entrance, regrouping. "Why are they pulling back?" Lieutenant Tay wondered. The answer came seconds later as a tall Terrak wearing ornate armor stepped into view. Even without an introduction, Jiyu knew who it was, Supreme Commander Nolt himself, come to deal with the human threat personally. "Your species continues to surprise me," Nolt said, actually speaking aloud rather than telepathically. "Such determination, despite the futility." "Not so futile," Jiyu replied, nodding toward the device. 1 minute left. Nolt's inner eyelids flickered rapidly. "Then we end this now." He raised his weapon, more advanced than anything carried by regular Terrak soldiers, and fired. The shot missed Jiyu by inches, hitting the wall behind her. The remaining humans returned fire, forcing Nolt to take cover, but more Terrak soldiers were arriving by the second. 30 seconds, Jiyu said, checking the device. "So close." Nolt spoke into a communication device. "This is Supreme Commander Nolt. Initiate self-destruct sequence. Authorization Nolt Prime 7. Jiyu's blood ran cold as new alarms began blaring throughout the ship. "He's going to blow up the command ship," she realized, "with all of us on it." "Self-destruct sequence initiated," an automated voice announced. "Detonation in 60 seconds. Jiyu looked at the device, 15 seconds until full activation. Then at her remaining team members, their faces grim but resolute. "We knew this was a one-way trip," Lieutenant Tay said quietly. Jiyu nodded, a strange peace settling over her. They would die, but humanity would survive. It was enough. The device's lights suddenly flashed brilliantly, and a high-pitched whine filled the chamber. It was working. Throughout the command ship, Terrak soldiers dropped to their knees, clutching their heads as the disruption tore through their telepathic network. Nolt himself staggered, his weapon falling from nerveless fingers. "What have you done?" he gasped. "Change the rules," Jiyu answered simply. As the self-destruct countdown continued, Jiyu made a final decision. "Anyone who can move, follow me. We've got 30 seconds to reach the shuttle." They ran, leaving the device behind to continue its work. The ship's corridors were chaos, Terrak soldiers writhing on the floor, systems failing, emergency lights flashing. Against all odds, they reached the docking bay with seconds to spare. As Lieutenant Tay fired up the engines, Jiyu looked back at the massive command ship. "Get us clear," she ordered. The shuttle shot out of the docking bay just as the command ship erupted in a blinding explosion. The shockwave caught them, sending the small craft tumbling, but Tay's skilled hands stabilized their flight. On the shuttle's view screen, they watched as the destruction of the command ship triggered a chain reaction throughout the Terrak fleet. Without the telepathic network, ships collided or fired on each other in confusion. The few that maintained control were quickly targeted by Earth's forces. "We did it," Jiyu whispered, hardly daring to believe it. "We actually did it." 1 month later, Commander Jiyu Park stood in the United Earth Assembly Chamber, her uniform crisp despite her still recovering body. Before her sat representatives from every surviving human settlement, alongside an unexpected addition, members of the Galactic Council itself. Council leader Mrath's skin shifted through colors as she addressed the assembly. "In light of recent events, the Council formally recognizes humanity's right to exist and offers Earth membership in our galactic community." A murmur ran through the human delegates. After everything that had happened, the Council expected gratitude for this generous offer. Jiyu stepped forward. "With respect, Council leader, Earth does not seek membership at this time. Marath's skin flashed a surprised yellow. "You reject our offer? We demand recognition of human sovereignty," Jiu replied firmly, "and reparations for the billions of lives lost due to Council inaction." The Council members shifted uncomfortably. Observer Pella, standing nearby, gave an almost imperceptible nod of approval. "You are in no position to make demands," Councillor Dren huffed. "Aren't we?" Dr. Kim spoke up from his seat. "We defeated the Terrax when you said it couldn't be done. We've since reverse-engineered much of their technology, and we understand you have other problematic species you use the Terrax to control. Species who might be interested to learn of their defeat." A tense silence fell over the chamber. Finally, Marath's skin settled into a diplomatic blue. "The Council acknowledges humanity's achievements and recognizes Earth's sovereign status," she conceded. "As for reparations, we propose technological and medical assistance to heal your biosphere." "Acceptable," Jiu nodded. "With one additional condition. Observer Pella remains as ambassador between Earth and the Council." Pella stepped forward, surprising the Council members. "I would be honored to serve in this capacity." As the formal agreements were drawn up, Jiu gazed out the chamber's windows at the sky above. Already the air was clearer thanks to Council technology helping neutralize the Terrac bioweapon. Earth would recover, slowly but surely. 6 months. Later, aboard a diplomatic vessel approaching Earth, representatives from 17 previously conquered worlds gathered in secret. Species the Terrax had subjugated, who had watched in amazement as humans accomplished the impossible. "They defeated the undefeatable," said the Venturi ambassador, his translucent skin glowing with excitement. "If humans could free themselves, then perhaps we can too," finished the Krell representative. On Earth, unaware of this meeting, Jiu stood with Dr. Kim and Observer Pella on a hillside overlooking a recovering forest. New growth pushed through soil that had been dead just months earlier. "The Council is worried," Pella admitted. "They've never encountered a species like yours before." "What makes us so different?" Kim asked. Pella looked thoughtful. "Most species follow predictable patterns. You humans, you defy expectations. You weren't supposed to win." Jiu smiled slightly. "Maybe that's our greatest strength. We don't know what's impossible until after we've done it." As the sun set over the healing Earth, none of them could see the changes already rippling across the galaxy, hope spreading among the oppressed, worry among the powerful. Humanity had changed the rules of the game, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, Mrath reviewed reports of stirrings among subject worlds with growing concern. "Perhaps," she said to her fellow councillors, "we have unleashed something we cannot control." Indeed they had. A species that wins even when they're supposed to lose.